Not true, because it's not true. The man never grabbed her gun, and he put her in handcuffs.
Now, what was the defendant's demeanor immediately after the victim was shot?
She had no remorse. She was just like, she was thugged out. She had no remorse at all. She was so right in that moment. She felt like she had done something.
Now, did you ever see the defendant attempt to render any aid to the victim?
Not at all.
Well, folks, we have breaking news after 1 hour and, 29 minutes of deliberations in the case against Hannah Payne. The jury has reached a verdict. Now, Payne, remember, is charged with murder after she followed 62-year-old Kenneth Herring from the scene of an accident and shot him during a confrontation.
Welcome back to Cons and Guns. This is a emergency broadcast. I was working on something else, man. We just got the verdict in for Hannah Payne. Hannah Payne. Now, this is the young lady, if that's what y'all want to call her, the young white lady, chased the black man down, held him at gunpoint, and then shot and killed him after some kind of car accident, right? And it comes to, and when it all comes out, the man was having a medical emergency, and she was just playing little stupid white vigilante. Man, I am so excited. I'm gonna roll these clips for y'all. I wasn't even supposed to be doing it, but I had to drop it. I ain't even have no clothes on. I just came down, throw it on the road, because I had to get with y'all, right? So,
What, if anything else, did you see?
Her pull a gun. After she pulled the gun, she shot him, and she said, "Now you need an ambulance."
Now, when she pulled the gun, when did you hear the shot?
Immediately.
Now, were you able to observe any of the victim's demeanor during the entire incident?
No.
And do you see the person who shot the victim in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you identify them by an article of clothing they are wearing and identify where they're sitting in the courtroom?
She's sitting directly in front of me wearing a blue shirt.
Let the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant in open court.
now this is such a kick right in America's balls. They done, did you see they got a black, how dare y'all, how dare you have a black, in session, we in session, hold on. How dare you have a black woman up there looking down on this young white lady, and this here, God's America. You understand? What is wrong with y'all? Somebody done fucked up royally. Somebody done fucked up. Man, did y'all see Jennifer? See, this is the reactions that I be looking for. I'm gonna have to get off my boy's ass for a minute. You know, I've been on them all my boy making them dumb ass decisions, and we coming back. But we also we got to show this side too. We got to show this side. Listen. Oh my goodness. Life plus 13 years. Ooh! I'm gonna feel like a punch in the gut. If you ain't never been in no fight, you don't know what I'm talking about. It don't feel like that headshot. That'll put you out, but that punch in the gut where you just get nothing but unbearable pain, that goddamn. Life plus 13 years. What that mean? All right, so that means she is eligible for parole. She eligible for parole. That's after 30 years, at least 30 years, maybe 31. But we're going to say 30 years, at least 30 years. We got to start there. So after 30 years, then she got to, if she's granted, I don't know how it goes, but I think if she's granted parole, then the 13 years start, or maybe just after 30 years, now the 13 years start. And either way it go, it's going to be minimum 43 years before she can be considered for parole. Man, y'all smart. Hold on. They do their math. She 25 years old. She 25 years old, plus 43, 8, 6. She'll get out. The closest that she can get out will be 68. The closest age that that she can the youngest age that she can possibly get out would be 68 years old. She's 25. Can't even say it's a shame, man. You know, it's kind of like you asked for it.
Defendant's vehicle cornering the other vehicle. What did you, if anything, did you see her do?
I saw her at the driver's side door of the vehicle, yelling obscenities for the man to get out the car. It looks like she was trying to fight him through the window.
And what was her demeanor at this time?
Very aggressive. Very aggressive.
And what made you kind of stop at that time?
Because she was yelling, get out of the car, MFer, like banging at him like this, like get out of the car. So it was the big scene.
Now, do you recall if the victim's window was up or down at that time?
I don't know. And this what, okay, so, oh my goodness, I ain't even gonna keep this one long, but listen, I encourage y'all not to do this stupid ass shit. And I want to say this. So understand that sometimes, let me take that back. And you'll understand once you start driving. But most of the time, especially in driving situations, you got to understand that when this stuff happens, it's not about you. It's about them. That means if you just driving out of nowhere, then a driver just come and, you know, he just cut in front of you for no reason or just cut you off. Don't think that, you know, because we tend to think, damn, why out of all these people out here driving, you cut me off, or why, you know, what going on? Why you know, and especially me, I was the type of person where if you come and just cut me off, just free pick me for no reason, I swerve out that mug, you know what I mean? Get in front of you and get, you know, I really give you the action you want, right? But we got to understand that if that happens, I don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. But if that happens, that's not about you, the person being cut out. That's about the person who's cutting. They late for something. They trying to get away from somebody. They running for whatever reason. It's not about you. It's not personal. They were trying to do something, right? Even in this situation, the dude had a medical emergency. Even if he hit her car and trying to get away, he trying to get somewhere where he can get some attention about his emergency, and she think he trying to get away. She chased the man down and shot him. This brought a little quick story, man. Out one day, I'm talking about, and I even tell you, I was on the way to get some tree from one of my brother's house, right? And man, listen, my brother lived, 3 miles down the road. If I put it in the GPS, it'll say 4 minutes. Oh man, I get in my truck. Now, my truck got sport mode. Man, I get in my truck. I'm headed out. I go out my neighborhood, cut the left. When I turn right on the main street, as soon as I turn right on the main street, I'm going. Once I get almost down by Boulder Crest, I'm supposed to be taking a right on Boulder Crest. Man, somebody come behind me in a Dodge Charger, silver Dodge Charger, hitting it and cut me off wrong. You know, almost hit my truck, but made me had to hit my brakes. I'm talking about, man, something made me snap off the rip. I'm supposed to be turning right on Boulder Crest. I smashed the gas. Either way, because I could just go down 675, jump right back on Boulder Crest and come around, so I'm not going out of my way. I just want to go and cut these people off. And the thing that I wasn't the thing that I wasn't computing is, I haven't had a job in 7, 8, 6, 7 years. So people still going to work in the morning. They still be late. They still be rushing, still be behind. So a lot of times in the morning, that rushing, that just be about those people in their situation. But I don't see it like that. I'm one of them slow driving ass nigga now. You know what I mean? So, man, I hit that mode. Yeah, throw truck in sport mode. We racing down Anvil Block, finna jump on 675. Now, I see the Charger see me coming. The Charger still hauling ass, but the Charger probably still got to go to work. Cut down 675. I cut down 675. I'm on that ass. All I'm trying to do is really just cut them back off, make them have to slow down, cost them some time or whatever. And this just for being rude on the highway is really stupid ass road rage, right? Man, I'm flying. So we hit 675, we rolling. Now, if I want to go back to my brother's house, just stop acting stupid, I got to get on 285 East and come on back around. This stupid the Charger get on 285 West going towards Atlanta. College Park, I jump on 285 West. Man, so off the rip, I done already went 20 minutes out the way. I done turned a 4-minute trip into 20 minutes off the rip. But I am determined because this person is so rude. Man, I'm round to my... So now when we get on, and then it ain't one of them fast chargers. It's one of them little stupid ass V6 chargers. So, I got, I got, like I said, I got sport mode. I don't think them V6 chargers got sport mode. So I don't think they got sport mode. So, I hit it. I'm going, we ride, and I catch them. Man, I pull up on the side. This motherfucker is one of these goddamn dykes. One of these, and I have, hold on, can I say that? It's one of the, what you supposed to call them? I'm about trying to be politically correct. One of them, lesbians? Okay, that what it is. It's a LGBT, so it's a lesbian. And so off the rip, like all my anger and my rage just drained from my body because, it's a girl, man. Really, I can't get too tough with him, her. You know what I mean? Y'all motherfucker get on my nerves. I hate you. Anyway, so, man, I'm talking about, and I can see that she trying her best not to look at me. Probably ain't had this kind of confrontation before. At the same time, you never know, because the lesbians who be trying to kind of be the tough guy, they might be strapped. And I ain't talking about they might be strapped with this, So I let them go, man. I let them go. I call my brother, tell him what happened. Man, I'm on my way over there, man. He ain't gonna believe it. What happened? Like, man, them motherfuckers cut me off in traffic. Man, I done take their ass 30 minutes down the road just trying to just fucking with him. You know what I mean? And he started laughing, but I mean, that was dumb as hell, stupid as hell. But thankfully, to be honest, I never had no intentions of making no what you call it, a confrontation. I just wanted to get back in front, but you never know how that lead, man. We gotta do better, man. It can't be no, but this is, just, I don't know, who knows? I'm here, she ain't, Jennifer, they done throw the old Amber ass in jail. Amber done, man. If anybody wanna, nice, pen pal, somebody gonna stay loyal, somebody gonna stay down, Hannah Payne, she gonna, well, listen, it's over. Life plus 13 years. So, and another thing, one thing I noticed, I don't know, it could be, I'm gonna tell you, you just don't know about that legal system and that judicial system, man. Once they bury you under all that shit and you gotta fight to get out, these fights are incredible. Like I said, she would have to do at least 43 years to come to before she's even considered to come home if she still alive. And the thing about that is, you know, that all that does is that hangs a small amount of hope. You know, your door is just not shut with the key thrown all the way. You know, you got the possibility of parole, which you probably won't make. You know, I'm talking about her situation, but you know, and what I'm saying is, I think that's a little bit worse. That might be to leave a person with that small inkling amount of hope that they trying to hold on and grasp to, that they probably never get, but you know, it just leaves you fighting for something for the rest of your life. Just think of that. That's a punishment in itself. You know, and I think only maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 may actually, you know, win that fight to see the street again. So the other ones just fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. You know, opposed to life without parole and the fight is over. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, man, I wanted to get that one out real quick. You know what I mean? I'm going to go get some clothes, put it on. We're going to do a proper one. Hannah Payne, life plus 43. Who won life sentence?
Again, the jury, they asked to see a couple of things. They had a question probably about 30 minutes or so ago. They wanted the eyewitness video, body cam video, Payne's 911 call, the second one. And I think, let me bring back in my guests here, still with me, of course, Marsha Minot, Ted Golden. I think it played out exactly as we said, Marsha. I think there was a juror who maybe had a question, was wondering whether to convict on one or more of the charges, and the rest of the jurors said, hey, wait a minute. You know, I think we're on solid ground with a guilty verdict. Why don't we take a look at the things that I guess, in my estimation, were some of the most important evidence in the case, the eyewitness video, body cam video, and Payne's second 911 call.
I agree. I think that whenever you select your foreman, and once a jury selects their foreman, then they usually take a vote. And whatever the split vote is, the majority will start trying to convince the other jurors regarding the evidence as to why they believe that their decision is wrong. So deliberation starts again. And a lot of times they'll reach out to the court and say, hey, can I see this piece of evidence? Because this piece of evidence is what we need to convince either this one juror or these jurors that their vote right now is not correct.
Ted, 1 hour, 29 minutes of deliberations. If you're a defense attorney, now we had a story from Marsha that she had a very quick verdict, but in her favor, but generally 1 hour and 29 minutes, not a good look for Hannah Payne.
No, it's definitely not a good look, because that means the evidence was clear and understandable, and they made a decision very quickly to convict because of the fact that the evidence was overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I think we have I don't know if that was a live view or not, but my understanding is that the judge is currently on the bench. They are assembling, getting into the courtroom. Of course, you know, it takes time to get the jury together, get them into the courtroom. Judge is on the bench. That is actually a live picture in the courtroom as they prepare to bring the jury in to deliver their verdict. Tell me, Marsha, I mean, you had a case, you said only 20 minutes of deliberations. You don't have to get into too many specifics if you don't want to, but you got a not guilty verdict in just 20 minutes.
I got that not guilty verdict and I almost passed out. I had not snacked. We had worked all week and I was on my way to get a snack and I was told, counsel, you have a verdict. Yeah. And I promise you, my knees were buckling, because I know quick verdicts are usually prosecution verdicts. Sure. They're usually guilty verdicts. Sure. And it was a homicide and I was so concerned. But thank goodness it was in Clayton and it was 20 minutes. We got a not guilty.
Wow. You know, this is one of these cases, Ted, that you know, when actually the judge is talking now, do we want to go into the courtroom? All right, let's get into the courtroom now. The judge is addressing the court.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Okay, and are you the foreperson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you kindly stand. Was your verdict unanimous?
Yes, ma'am.
Has the verdict form been filled in, signed, and dated by you?
Yes, ma'am.
If you would have the bailiff bring the verdict form to me, please. Mr. Foreperson, if you would go ahead and read the verdict.
With regard to count 1 as to the offense of malice murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 2 as to the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 3 as to the offense of aggravated assault, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 4 as the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 5 as the offense of false imprisonment, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 6 as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 7 as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 8 as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Respectfully submitted, the 12th day of December 2023.
Counsels, is there anything further required of this jury before I dismiss them?
If the court can hold the jury.
Okay. I will hold the jury. And so I'm just going to go sequentially and ask you a number of questions to which you will respond. Foreperson, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Next person. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir? Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you? Is it still your verdict? Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have polled the jurors. Ladies and gentlemen, you have now concluded your service on this jury. You're no longer subject to or bound by the instructions that I've previously given to you about not talking to anyone about this case. You're now free to talk to anyone you like about the case and the decision that your jury has reached. By the same token, you're not required to speak with anyone about this case. That is your decision. However, sometimes the attorneys like to talk with you to ascertain your views about the evidence and input from how they could improve. But again, you're not required to speak to anyone about the case. That is purely your decision. Again, thank you for your service and your commitment to your jury duty this week. You are free to go.
I'll be hanging out over here if they'd like to skip the
Right. You'll be outside the courtroom?
over near the steps.
Okay.
Over the elevator.
You may be seated. Miss Payne, I'm going to remand you into the custody of the Sheriff's Department at this time. Counsels, what I do want to do at this time is set a date for the sentencing. My proposed date is December 20th.
All right, so Hannah Payne, a very emotional Hannah Payne, found guilty of all charges. There were eight counts in the indictment, malice murder, 2 felony murder charges, one with the underlying felony being aggravated assault, the other being false imprisonment. There was also 3 possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony charges, convicted on all those as well. We'll have to wait and see when they decide to have a sentencing hearing, but it's never lost on me that moment when the cuffs go on a defendant and they realize, I think that's the moment they realize their life has basically changed forever. A couple of lives really ended that day back in 2019. Let me bring in my guests again, Marsha Minot, Ted Golden. Marsha, I'll start with you, your reaction to the verdict.
It's heart-wrenching because it is devastating for both families.
Yes.
The family who has a daughter who they may not see the light of day again, depending on how the court sentences her, and the victim's family who will never see their family member again because of the senseless death that occurred. Hopefully the moral of the story for individuals is let law enforcement do the duties of law enforcement.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And as the prosecution said, Nigel Hunter, the prosecutor, said during her closing argument, but for what happened that day, but for her chasing him, Mr. Herring would have been home with his family on the holidays. Well, the same can be said about her now. She will not be home with her family for the holidays, Ted.
You have to look at actions and think about them before you do them. Unfortunately, the trial only made it that more horrific because the family of the victim had to listen to this all over again. And had the defendant taken advantage of the justice system's offer of a plea, we would never heard all this information. And unfortunately, the end result is the same. She's still going to jail. And it's unfortunate. We see a lot more now where folks are going to trial on clearly cases where they're going to get convicted. And I'm proud of the fact that juries stand up. If you notice the emotion in the voices of the people when they ask us what was their verdict, you heard no one whimpering or speaking low. They were strong, they were affirmative, and they said, yes, this is my verdict. And that's a great thing for juries these days because unfortunately, a lot of stuff gets tainted the wrong way and people feel emotional about sending a young person to jail. But when you're wrong and you commit the crime, you gotta do the time.
Yeah, and I think the hour and 29 minutes deliberations, Marcia sent a message as well. I mean, that suggested that they were confident. They even took the time to watch some of the video again, but as you said, we kind of sort of outlined what that might have been about. But the hour and 29 minutes, I think, speaks volume as well.
It does. It says that the prosecution did a fantastic job in presenting their case. And I believe the closing arguments were just as even keel as they needed to be. Sometimes you get too over-passionate, you get too loud, and you start pounding tables, you lose jurors in the process. So I felt like this prosecutor kept calm, kept professional, presented her evidence, went through the law, and told the jurors what the law required them to do, and they did.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Matt Tucker, who was the defense attorney in this case. Dealt a very bad hand. I thought he did a great job. He was believable. I think he believed in his client. He fought hard, but again, he was dealt a bad hand, Ted. But he made light of the fact that there were inconsistencies in some of the testimonies of the eyewitnesses, that the situation took a turn she didn't expect, and that's where he really was relying on getting a self-defense, but it just wasn't enough.
Well, you know, the difficult part about being a defense attorney in strong cases like this is you have to bring up all those things, because if you don't, then you're representing your client in the right way. Yeah. Properly, most attorneys who've been around for a while and prosecuted cases like this, many of them know what they have to. They follow the letter. And as long as they follow the letter, then there's not a chance of being overturned because of incompetent counsel. Yeah. Every once in a while, I've had this happen. You run across somebody that does something that does not make sense. Right. It just doesn't make sense. And they don't do their client service. I unfortunately had a case once where this happened, and I'm wondering, why is she taking the witness stand? Yeah. And it just didn't make any sense. She got convicted anyway, but it just didn't help her at all. And he was not doing his job properly. Yeah.
I'm not going to knock him for putting her on the stand, Hannah Payne, because I think this was the case was really strong against her, and I think she needed to take the stand in this one. Again, it was a net negative ultimately, but she needed to. Again, Hannah Payne found guilty on all charges by a Clayton County jury. We'll take a break. We'll have more.
Honestly, so after the gunshot went off, I actually went to go check on the gentleman in the truck. I wasn't worried about Miss Payne.